And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
In Louisiana, Michael, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Well, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I'm an old retired guy, and I've been trying to nurse along my Saturn 2000. I believe they referred to it as an SC1.
Hey,
basically
man,
the smallest, cheapest Saturn I could get.
Those cars are hard to find parts for these days, and whenever we do find a part, we have to prepay for the part. But I don't know if you've had that problem, but they were great cars. Jan, you heard me talk about Jan because she was our screener for forever, and she's been with the company 19 years on the service side. She had 4 Saturns. She would buy one, trade it in, or give it to her, or sell it to her daughter, and then buy another one. And her last Saturn, the local dealer in Pensacola and the local dealer in Mobile, Alabama, both of them vied for her Saturn because we had performed all the services on it, and they needed the car. It was really kind of fun really you got 2 dealers trying to buy this car from Jan, but she's the only one that drove it, and we serviced it. What have you. But anyway, what's your question about yours?
Yes, sir. I've got kind of an unusual problem. I've taken it to 3 mechanics now, and the problem is when the weather heats up, and then I drive the car around for a little bit, the clutch will stick. And so I went to 3 dealers, and they said, well, let's put it on the machine. I said, Can you tell me how that machine is going to pick an intermittent problem out that only works in hot weather after the car's been driven?
Right. Help. And what was their answer?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, wait now, folks. You hear what Michael is saying here. Michael, I don't know if you heard or listening to the last segment of the program, but I was talking about the fact that technicians sometimes overthink issues, and a car comes in fact, it was the last caller talking about his Ford F-150, and the guy that at the service shop said he had a bad exhaust valve, and that was causing it to slow start, but it was okay at times. And I said, well, how did he know? Did he run a compression test? Well, I don't know. And so I said, well, one of the challenges, and we face it every day, and it's something that we talk about amongst ourselves every day. How do we perform tests and what people think are diagnostics? How do we perform those tests within reasonable time and determine and pinpoint the problem? And I will tell you, there's the old school and the new school. And if you're not part of both, you're going to have a challenge pinpointing. And I know an individual that is all new school that spends 45 hours a week in front of a computer hoping that computer can tell him what's wrong with his customer's car. It doesn't work for me, but I know this for a fact. And I also know that there are other older guys, that's well, I was computer. I don't know anything about computers, but you have to know the mechanics and you have to know the technical aspect. And quite candidly, it's the part I love the most. Bring on the high tech, but let's don't forget the low tech. And you, in your own way, just reinstated what my knowledge and beliefs are when you went to a service shop and they said, let's put it on a machine and check your clutch that doesn't work in the hot weather. Really? So you finished the story. So what happened?
Well, so far I still have the car, and I'm still driving it around early in the morning or late in the evening. And if it gets to what happens is the car heats. I'm driving it around.
Right.
The weather heats up.
Right.
And I'll step in on the clutch.
Right.
And it won't pop back out.
Okay. Well, let's determine what operates the clutch. And as the throwout bearing operates the clutch. But what operates the throwout bearing? The hydraulic throwout slave cylinder. Now, if the slave cylinder, which by the way is nothing more than a syringe with a rubber O-ring, just like a medical syringe, it's just a more glorified high pressure one. If that syringe rubber is sticking, or better yet, the clutch slave cylinder is sticking, and so a quick question then, does the clutch pedal stay down?
Yes, sir. I can pick the pedal back up with my foot, but there's no tension on it.
Yeah, right. And you still can't shift because it's still, for all intents and purposes, the clutch slave cylinder thinks that your foot's still down even though the pedal is back up. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Here's what I want you to do. Are you familiar with the line? Could you find the hose that goes from the clutch to the slave under the hood at the firewall?
No, but I'm really good at being able to pass this information on to somebody who can.
Okay. All right. So here I've got a spigot in my driveway, and I'm going to wash my car, and I've got a closed nozzle on the hose, and I turn I screw it onto the bib, and I open the bib. Now the hose has pressure in it, right? Okay.
Yes.
Then I turn the water off. I still have pressure in it. So
yes.
If I go over and aim that water gun at your face, even with the water turned off, whatever residual pressure is in the hose is going to blast you in the face. You see my picture here?
I do.
Okay. So if the clutch master cylinder is bad and it still has pressure down, then you could literally open the other end and it would, the pressure would go out at the bleed hole and the pressure plate, the clutch, would pop back up if it were a hydraulic issue. That is the proper method that should be used to determine if you got a hydraulic problem with pressure or you've got a pressure plate that gets really hot. And I really, for the life of me, you'd have to really convince me and show me face to face with me driving a pressure plate that when it got hot didn't come back up. And we're not talking about really hot. We're talking about just driving, normal driving. We're not talking about racing applications. We're just talking about your normal day of driving, aren't we?
Exactly, sir. I think I've got over 140,000 miles on it. I think you got a hydraulic problem. So why don't you go back to the shop and say, hey guys, why don't you get it good and hot and make it do? Can you get it good and hot and duplicate the problem in front of a technician? Say yes. Oh, I can do that.
Oh, well,
the only problem was that they don't want to wait.
Well, that's okay. Set an appointment. Go by and, don't wait. Don't go Monday morning. Or if you go at 10 o'clock in the morning, not before, because everybody's still trying to get all the rush of cars in and get those cars dispatched and all that. So it's a good coffee breaks about 10:30 in the morning for most shops. I'm just, from my experience, all 47 years, okay? So the first thing you do is you go by and you meet Brennan or Bobby or Rusty or whomever in Louisiana there. And you say, hey, I want to come by about 10:30 Tuesday morning. Is that a good coffee break time for you? And you could road test my car? Or you maybe have a technician road test my car with me? Yeah, that'll work. I mean, they're going to say yes. If they don't, go to another shop. Okay, then you do your due diligence, which, see, we're saving you money here. You make this car act up. Now you got it where you can't shift it. Well, that's fine. Just leave it in first gear. Drive it, or second gear, drive it. You surely can do that. And you make your way into the shop. Don't turn it off. Do not turn it off. You can pull it out of gear, but don't turn the vehicle off and walk up and say, hey, Bobby, here I am, as advertised, as we agreed to. Come and feel this while it's doing it. I mean, hey, the guys in our shop, 2 or 3 guys would stop and come over and say, come and look at this. This is really strange. Now you've caught it in the act, and now you can almost be assured that they can release the fluid pressure at the bleed line with your Saturn and determine if it's hydraulic pressure, because if it's a pressure plate, there will not be any hydraulic pressure there. You got me?
I do.
And to that end, even if, I'm thinking here, even if it is a pressure plate problem, the clutch pedal should still come back up, because the spring in the clutch slave's master cylinder should push back, and you can pull it back. You should be able to, now that I'm getting a little delicate here, but I'm overthinking it. But still, You make it do it. You take it in. Here's what my car's doing. It's bleeding in front of everybody. What do you think, guys? And please don't think you can hook a machine to it and tell us what's wrong with it. Okay,
Exactly.
Michael, you and I on the same page?
We are, and thank you so much.
You are welcome.
My back went up at the idea of having to pay between $100 to $150 to put it on a machine to tell me, well, we don't really know because it's an intermittent problem.
Yeah, well, and there's a point to that because intermittent problems are the worst kind.
Exactly.
You know, your car runs like Attila the Hun for you, and it runs like Miss Manners when you take it to a shop. We all know that. So when you've got that is the makings of an excellent shop versus a regular shop, whether it's an independent or a dealership or a chain store. When you've got the shop that bring on those odd ones. Anybody, I mean, not anybody, but you see, we get those every day. I don't advertise for them, but our reputation brings us some of the weirdest things you've ever seen in your life. And we take them in, and people don't know this, but we rarely, if ever, get paid enough hours to pinpoint what is really wrong with cars. We get a beginning agreement of an hour or 2 hours, and if it takes 4 hours, we still charge the 2 hours, and yours truly pays the differential because we just don't know how to position that, and people won't come in and stay with us because they don't know that, and really they don't really want to be that involved. You know, it's not like a child where you want to be involved in your child. Although if in my heart of hearts, I'd love for somebody to come in and say, I want to be with you the whole way. And we do have some people that do that. But usually it's somebody like me that gets in the way and says, what are you doing now? What are you doing now? Please give me some room here. So it's like a relationship, Michael. You got to have.
Sure, I can commiserate okay. Entirely. Right. I spent the last 25 years doing computer assistance.
Oh, well, yeah. And I'll tell you what my wife told me when I years ago when I was on the phone with someone, and she'd been on the phone for an hour and a half trying to fix her computer. She had 40 psych papers for her degree on that computer. And I sat down. I said, "Let me do that." I sat down and I talked to the gentleman on the phone. He says, "Do you still have the original OS disk?" I said, "Sure." He said, "I want you to put that in." He said, "Now you're going to you may lose a few files." Well, Michael, I walked in 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later to the kitchen, and I looked at my wife and I said, "I fixed the computer." What'd you do? Yeah. Well, anyway, she's never forgotten me or forgiven me because I lost 40 psych papers. And so to this day, when I mention computer, she'll look at me, step away from the computer. That's a true story. Yeah. Hey, got to go. Nice talking with you.
Understood.
Okay, send a car story.
Thank you so much.
Okay.